Hello, this is Dan Nobles and welcome back to the tutorial on the semi-truck. So in this tutorial we're going to continue on, and like I mentioned in the last video, what we're going to do is look at, we'll go into full view here, look at correcting this fender part here. And what we can do is look at the actual reference images to help out. I'm just going to go into the UV image editor and going to open one of my reference images. And this doesn't really show it too well, but anyway, you can see the fender here as it kind of slopes down there, and of course the door is going to be completely straight there, and the hood kind of comes forward at an angle there. Maybe a better one. Here's a side view, and you can see how it kind of slopes down there. We got the step there, another step here. This seems to be even with the sleeper cab back there, or at least, well, maybe not. It's close, but actually that sticks out a little bit there. If we look at another view, you can kind of see it here as well, where it just comes down right here. And also, something that I didn't realize is that this air deflector kind of goes in right here at an angle, and also up here, which is interesting. So that's good to know. It's funny, a lot of my reference images here are not real trucks. They're models or toys or whatever. So, but anyway, it gives us a good idea of what the geometry is supposed to be doing. So I'm going to go back into my view here, side view, wireframe mode, edit mode, and before I start moving that geometry around, I'm just going to fix a little bit of some areas here, get them close to where they need to be. So we'll actually have the fender area itself. And I'm going to move this back because I'm not sure what this line here is, but it doesn't seem to be right to me. So oh, that's the door there. That's okay. Okay, so now we got a little bit better definition of where that fender's at, I guess. And so, figure out how we're going to do this. I think first what I'm going to do is go into the front view, and we know where this is supposed to be. So all we need to do is find out which vertices need to be moved over. So I'm going to go back into my side view here. Okay, we know this is the fender, so I'm just going to select these so I know where I'm at. Actually, before I do that, let me move this. Oops. Move that over to okay. Okay, so just so I know where the or the vendor, the Fender is at. And go back into the front view. And now what I can do is hopefully grab the ones that are away from the Fender. This. Okay, go back into this front view. And I'm going to move them, but I'm also going to move them up because I don't want them conflicting with this line either. Okay, so I'm going to leave those there for right now. I'm going to grab these. Move those over. I'm going to see what these are right here. That is the front of the hood, so I don't really want to mess with those. In fact, yeah, I just pulled over ones I shouldn't have pulled over, so I'm going to back up. I don't want to pull these over just yet, or at all. Probably those, okay. There we go. Okay, so that's kind of how that cab's going, I think. And so now we need to take this bottom part and we need to move it inward. So probably go back into side view here. And figure out what we need to move forward, which is probably going to be actually these. Tell you what, before we do that, we do have to do that, but before we do that, I'm going to break apart the model a little bit more. What I want to do is I don't want this back piece to be part of the cab. I don't want this toolbox / step to be part of the cab or the back. I want that all to be separate. So let's break that stuff apart. Toolbox is kind of bad because it's mixed in with the with everything really. So let's just go ahead and let's see, where can we break this at? This is kind of the area right here where it's at. Grab that, move it over. So we'll say, let's see, do we need to add some geometry? No. Let's just do it this way. Let's select this much of it. That will leave that little piece right there. Okay, that's what I want. And P by selection, that's separate now. And come out here and let's see. Yeah, just do it from right here back. So take all of that, P by selection, and that's separate. And we'll actually take this, part. Yeah, we can leave that there for right now. It's not hurting anything. But the reason that I did this, you may be wondering why. When you start adding geometry that you need into the pieces, say for example, if I need to add geometry to here, it really doesn't need to propagate into pieces that don't need it. Because the more geometry you add, of course, the more faces you have, and the longer it takes to render and all that good stuff. I don't need extra edges in the straight square piece. I mean, it's really going to be a step, so it's going to have more detail in it itself. And that's all the more reason to break it apart. It's something completely different. It's going to have more geometry, so I don't want that. You know, if I start adding edges into this, I don't want it going all over through the model and everything. The cab is basically one big piece. This toolbox / step thing is one big piece. In the rear, actually what we're going to end up doing is cutting a piece, you know, a big piece out of this. So, I mean, we're going to be changing all that stuff. So we really want the major pieces of the truck to be separate. And that's why I broke apart the air deflector as well. So just something to keep in mind as you're creating your models. Don't be afraid to break them apart and make them separate pieces. For the longest time, I pretty much created my models all in one piece and tried to get all the geometry, you know, in the different areas, and you know, it ends up creating all this huge amount of geometry elsewhere, and it's really not needed. I mean, you can break it up as much as you need, and I mean, of course, the wheels are going to be separate also. So, and things like, I mean, of course, things like these horns up here and your side view mirrors, even the light. The headlight that's going to go inside the light fixture is going to be separate, so you know, it's not necessary to make that all one piece. Just make sure you can break it up. I think you get the point. Anyway, so now that we've done that, I can kind of see better where the bottom of this is going to be. And in fact, for this, probably going to keep this as the bottom. I do need this fender piece, but I'm not sure that I need anything else here. I can always add later, so I'm going to go ahead and delete those and go ahead and delete those too. Okay. So now we're in a little bit better position to deal with this geometry here that needs some moving. And it's really basically these 3 rows here. So I'm going to go into face mode and just select this area here. And see what I got. Of course, I do not need to move all this stuff. And I do not need to move this in. So let's go into vertex mode and deselect this. Any of that. Okay, so that's pretty much what needs to be moved. So let's do that. I don't like the way that Fender's acting, but it's okay, we gotta fix that anyway. And this is where we kinda eyeball it, I guess, but as you can see, we need some more geometry here, or else that fender's going to be really out of whack. Or we may not. We may be able to fix that. We may be able to go to, let's grab this and kind of move it over a little bit to where it needs to be. And you can see this probably needs to be curved down a little bit. Let's look at the front view to see. Yeah, it kind of curves down a little bit there. I mean, that's kind of where you need to take a little bit of artistic license and say, you know, this doesn't look like it should be squared off like that. I mean, once we subsurf it, it won't be. But we may want to just get it a little bit more in line to how it should look. Okay, so let's go into solid mode, just take a look here. So yeah, this is pretty messy right here. I'm gonna have to fix this, maybe add some geometry around there so it flows nicely as it should. You can see the end of the cab here where it just kind of stops and there's nothing there, but when we get to this piece right here, the toolbox, we can start correcting that. The other thing that I want to do in this section, I think, is I'm going to bring in the air deflector, Alt-H. And we never did anything to this as far as getting it corrected to the shape, so we need to do that. And it's not too big of a deal, but it does need to be done. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to have little, like some compartments and stuff here, which we're going to add in. But right now, we're just, again, still just looking at the main geometry that we have. So, what is this like? Oh, I'm looking at my empty. It's like, what is that geometry doing there? Okay, I'm just going to move that over to there, and let's go ahead and add another edge loop. Grab these, move them down. Add this, move it down. And as you can see, because this was originally part of the truck, or part of the cab, we got all these extra lines in here that we probably won't need. I'm going to leave them in there because, like I said, we're going to be making... actually, let me take them out because I'm not sure exactly where those panels are going to be right now, and I don't want the excess geometry in there. So the easy way to remove those is just do an Alt-click and do X and choose Delete Edge Loop, and it's gone. And I don't think I really need this one right now. Same thing, it's gone. So just keeping it simple right now. And bring those down a little bit. And I'm going to grab these two, extrude, come out to about right there. Bring that one down, extrude, and oops, grab one I didn't want. And bring that down. Okay, and there is the basic air deflector. We do need to look at the front view for the air deflector, and as you can see, it looks like it's way off. I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, I'll move that whole piece inward. of this thing going on up here. Okay, so that will work for now anyway, as far as the front view, I do believe. Okay, so now we can kind of look at, I think, look a little bit at the back of the truck, and let's go back and look at some reference images. As you can see, really all you have is these two struts here that are coming back. It's going to be in between the wheels, of course. So let's see if I can duplicate something like that. It really would help to have a top view in this case, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. Alright, so let's do this. Let's Alt select. Let's see, can I do Shift Alt? Select all those edge loops. X, delete edge loops. It won't do them more than once, or is it trying to? It's trying to do something. I think it's trying to crash. Don't crash, don't crash, don't crash. Oh, it wasn't doing anything. Never mind. Okay, so I'll do one at a time. Just deleting these edge loops here. And this is a good example of unneeded geometry, at least for right now. So, there's another loop here. Don't need that. Okay, good enough. Select them all. Scale X. Nope, not exactly. Okay, I'm going to turn off clipping on my mirror. SX. There we go. Maybe something like that. Okay, and let's see if we can go ahead and fill in some of this area that's missing. I need to create some geometry. Okay. Okay, I think that will get it. Okay, I don't need. Let's see how far this goes. I'm going to go ahead and extend, grab those. I'm just going to extend this up under the truck because there's going to be a space here that you probably see between the cab and the toolbox, and besides, these would go back all the way anyway. Don't need this edge loop right here. I'm just going to extrude this geometry. Fill in that face. Fill in that face. And I'll leave the bottom open for now. I may not even need it to be closed in. Okay, looking again at the side of the door here. Something looks really weird in this area right here. Yeah, it's sticking out a little bit, so and actually probably what I can do is grab that and just kind of move it a little bit to relieve some of that stretching that's going on. Okay, so probably also what we need to do is really this part right here needs to come back and be part of the fender. This part right here I'm going to bring forward. Sort of like that right now. That will enable me to put an edge loop. Hopefully, no it's not, because I got a problem there. Okay. Just don't think that's going to solve it. And that really, I mean, it may be okay, or maybe not, but I mean, once we smooth it, we'll be able to tell what it's going to do. But just, you know, by looking at it, I'm thinking it's going to be a problem later on for us. But I'll go ahead and save this, and I'm going to do a subsurf just to see what it is going to do. Smooth it. So yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell. I mean, it looks okay, but there's going to be problems here. When you look at the geometry, you can see the pinching that's going on. So there needs to be some added geometry there. That's going to fix that. So we got continued work to do there. Remove the subsurf. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close this part of the tutorial, and we'll continue on with the details in the next one. And as you can see, it's starting to look like a truck, sorta, kinda. Thanks for watching.